Hello, Cheers Kevin here, and today we are putting together a WhisperRoom, specifically the 127 LP single WhisperRoom. Let me zoom us in here. There we go. Got this lovely manual that they sent to me initially when this was shipped. I bought this. I shouldn't have done that. Now everything's gonna be out of focus. I bought this WhisperRoom in I think March of 2017, and used it. Love it. Had to take it down because we moved. Now I'm going to be putting the thing back together, filming this so that you can see kind of what the WhisperRoom is and how it is all put together and laid out. Because it's honestly, it should be pretty easy. It's going to take me a little bit of time just because I'm just one person and slow about things, but it's going to be nice and easy. So the 127 LP single, because you can buy any WhisperRoom that you buy. These are sound booths, right? And they come in multiple configurations. Anyone that you buy, you can buy the single version or the enhanced version, which is a double wall system. The reason I have a single is because I didn't really need the extra isolation, but also it's more expensive, and that double wall comes on the inside of the WhisperRoom, and we're already dealing with a fairly limited amount of space. So I'm going with the standard corner unit plus, because of some risk of basement flooding that I have to keep in mind here, I also ordered the caster plate, which basically raises the height of the WhisperRoom, has the whole thing set on a bunch of casters that can lock. And I have that actually set up behind me here. If I pop this up, this is just medium density fiberboard. I've already gone through and put on the casters. When it gets shipped, they're all in separate boxes, but I figured that was going to be boring. Let's go ahead and just get that done and over with. So this is the footprint upon which the entire thing has to sit. Now the camera's not going to entirely pick that up because I wanted it also to catch my head, but that's okay. So first thing that we need to do, well, I guess in addition to the caster plate, I also there's this little step, which is right down here. And this can just sit in front of the the door frame, and provide a step. It's solid and it's nice, and we got that going. The other thing that I have that is different from the standard WhisperRoom, just if you buy it kind of the vanilla thing without all the trimmings, is I did recently change out one of the walls. Now you can swap out any of the walls for a wall that has a window in it, because one of the things is when you're dealing with a small amount of space, it's kind of nice to not have to squeeze a monitor in and worry about all of that. So I said, okay, I'd like to have a window so that I can go ahead and just put a monitor behind the window, and then that would fix that whole problem. In theory, there's going to be more reflection in the booth because of that, but you're also already going to have the reflection because of there being a monitor in there. In theory, anything that you can do to treat anything that your monitor can do to minimize sound reflection, you can do to a window as well. So the idea is that you can put a monitor behind the window. Now, because I ordered this late, I talked with WhisperRoom and they said generally we don't like to ship out panels on their own with the glass in them because they'll get damaged and cracked in shipping, and we'll just have to. And then you'll just lose it. So what they said is, hey, reach out to a local glass manufacturer. We can sell you the pane without, or the panel without the glass, which actually I have here. I should just haul this out so you can see. I just want to make sure I don't knock into anything. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so this is what they shipped. I can't unzoom the camera anymore. But we have a space for a window here, and there's a panel inside here that basically we unscrew this frame bit and I can install glass. Now the glass, I ordered it, it'll be here in a couple weeks, and I figured I'm not gonna wait that long. I wanna go ahead and set this up, and I can go ahead and take this off, install the glass separately, because it'll be from the outside of the booth anyway. So we're gonna put the thing together. That's the only other thing that's non-standard about this setup. Everything else is kind of what you would buy if you were buying the thing from scratch, vanilla, without additional configuration. So I'm going to set this back up against some surface, and we're going to get the floor panel set into the caster plate, which hopefully should just be a drop-in. We're going to see. If it's not, we may have words. I don't know. right, so here we are. This is the floor panel. There's a ceiling panel that's very similar. You'll see there are holes for the bolts, and basically everything gets attached to this. So this goes in absolutely first. Now, if you had the enhanced setup, then I think there's a separate, it looks like a neoprene or rubber like gasket mat that goes underneath this to just add additional insulation beneath this. But since we're on the single, we don't need to worry about that. So I'm just gonna toss this on here and really hope that this just sort of slots in. This is slide over. You know what, I should lock the casters. Let me do that real quick. Okay. I think this is pretty well seated. It's not perfectly flush, but I also don't know exactly how flush it's supposed to be. I mean, it looks like it's pretty even around, so that's good. Now I am going to be in here, standing on here. Of course, this is locked and it's still a little wobbly. That's something I guess worth paying attention to, but that is that. Cool, okay. Actually, one quick thing, I'm just gonna take the trouble to show you now, because it's harder to do this when the walls are on, is what my recording setup actually looks like. So this is the floor space that you have to work with, and it doesn't allow for much, but it suits my needs well. I've been able to do some game streaming from in here. I've been able to record audiobooks, been able to record other things, and yeah. So this is basically what my setup looks like. If you imagine here, this will eventually be our door panel, and then you have, you're kind of enclosed everywhere else. But I know we're kind of chopping off things here, but if you sit in here, there's enough space to make things work. And I can record everything in here. I had a monitor up here on this desk, but now that'll even move outside. So this is a small table that I found. I think it's like 40 bucks on Amazon. I'll throw an affiliate link down in the description. I don't have an affiliate account, but I figure if I say affiliate link, then if I ever do, and then I go back and change it to an affiliate link, I'm off the hook for disclosure-y stuff. Anyway, yeah, so this is kind of the setup. And now all we got to do is to actually put the walls on. So I'm going to take these back off. I'm going to get the first two walls in place, and those are the back two walls that are at 90 degrees from one another. So assembly is honestly not going to be that hard. I looked at the instructions just to refresh my memory, but for the most part, you're dealing with three things, and some of these may be attached to. I mean, if you're getting something right off the truck, which by the way, when you order these, they ship in like proper delivery. You know, you're not going to get a UPS delivery. It comes on a pallet, so be prepared for that. You're basically dealing with three things to attach stuff. You're dealing with this, which is, I guess I got to zoom it in further. Is that further? Nope, I think that's the wrong direction. Nope. Okay. I think this is probably as good as we're going to get. You're going to get these hinges. There we go, hinges. And these basically attach the floor to the walls, and then to the ceilings as well. I think these were initially attached. When shipped, I took kind of everything apart when moving. And there are these small, short little stubby bolts. They're like this. There we go. And these are for attaching through the hinges. So I'll attach them to the wall and attach them to the floor as well. Then there are these longer bolts that get used for corner pieces. Well, they go through the wall into corner pieces. We'll see that in a minute, because we need a corner piece goes behind the joint of any two walls. There's a special corner piece. There's a 90-degree one for the back corner, and then there's a what is it, less than 90-degree one for all of the other angles. I don't remember. I figured it out at some point, but And then last thing, just because there's a little bit of extra stuff with, I think it was for the door, there are a couple of chrome screws, but they're really for just a couple of things. It's gonna be nice and easy because you're really not dealing with a whole bunch of different pieces of equipment. So actually, rather than start on these, go wall by wall, what I'm going to do is install these hinges onto everything first, and then worry about yeah, I'll install it to the floor panel. I think I can install it to the ceiling panel as well. And then as walls come in, not worrying about getting that installed. I'm just worrying about getting the two ends that aren't screwed in yet screwed in. So we'll start with that. I think when I initially, yeah, so I think when I got these, the hinges are sort of pre-installed. I can't remember, they must be on the floor and ceiling pieces. I was gonna say, I can't remember if they were on the floor or ceiling pieces or if they were on the walls. But I did go through and install everything by hand. Well, with the manual screwdriver initially. And of course, when I took it apart, no problem using the power drill. But now I have a better power drill that hopefully should not strip anything. And so I say, let's go crazy and try this on a conservative setting and just trust that it's not going to strip anything important. Okay, so with all these installed, it's easier to see kind of up close that, hey, if we flip these up, these are basically how the walls are attaching. We'll just be drilling the bolts in through there and attaching them to the walls. So put them all along the floorboard, we'll put them on the ceiling board at the very end when it comes to that. That one's gonna be a little bit tricky because we've got to raise it up and kind of drop it on before we finish things up. But these are now all on. We're gonna get these back two corner, we'll have the corner piece and then the two wall panels we've got to get installed. This is gonna be a little bit tricky because I just need to make sure that they stay upright and don't go falling backwards. This allows a little bit of leeway there, which is nice. But, and then once those are on, then we at least have enough of a structure that things should remain reasonably stable. Okay, here we have a corner piece, and I know the lighting is not the best, but there we go, hopefully. You can see, so the walls are basically gonna come up like this. So the walls don't, I mean, they meet on the inner corner and then they have some place to seat. This is gonna go back here. Well, I suppose let's fix the zoom again. There we go. So yeah, this needs to go back here. And it actually sits kind of just outside of where the walls end up being. So, okay. Oh, that's perfect. Right, because these actually stick out a little bit outside of sort of the box of the WhisperRoom. But that's why we've got this lovely caster plate here and why it extends out a little bit further. So this sits kind of right on the edge of the caster plate. That's cleverly, yeah, correctly designed. Okay, so challenge is going to be to get these two walls up. Let me set this back here and we'll get one in place and then hopefully get another in place. So, now these are, let's see, actually I'm trying to remember, inside and outside. I don't think it actually matters. No, it does matter, yeah. Yeah, vertically, these panels can be reversed any way that you like, but there is an inside because it has the places to screw in those hinges. You need that. That's important. Okay. So the challenge is going to be getting this in, and then kind of getting it to stay there while we get more stuff installed because there's not really anything for it to lean against just yet. Suppose we could do this up against a wall, but that would be honestly even more of a pain in the butt. All right. The placement there is way off, but that's okay. Yep. Okay, yeah, it's at least close. What you want to do is line up against the back corner where the floor is raised up. And that's going to get you, I think, your best shot of something that approaches where it's supposed to be. I'm just going to, it's very explicit about not over tightening stuff right now. So we'll go ahead. If I can just get these two in, then I can abuse these hinges, try and keep everything sitting where it's supposed to be. So I think I'll nudge this. Oh, perfect. First nice, easy seat of the day. And that one, that is wonderful. That is glorious. Okay. And I know you're not supposed to over tighten. The reason for that, if I remember right, is because you may need to do a little bit of wiggling to get some of the last stuff installed, but I can always go back and loosen it if need be there. But since this one needs to be able to kind of stand up on its own, or at least approximate that behavior, we're just going to tighten it out. And you know what? I think we're going to be just fine without this actually leaning back on something, which is great because it frees me up to get the rest of the stuff installed. Now, I think, unless I'm remembering wrong, I believe they did send this with a mallet as part of the packing materials. So if you do need to sort of hammer things into alignment, there is a little mallet. I mean, this stuff will take a beating. It's MDF. Good, yeah. Okay, so yeah, it's putting stress on the hinges that it shouldn't be putting, but that's okay. We are going to, yeah, and this will lean forward and lean back because it's actually, yeah, okay, it won't lean back too much, but it is at least in place. Now I'm going to put on this corner brace. Yeah, and you see that naturally sort of pulls this thing forward. Actually, maybe should I? No, we'll do this all together. I'll grab, and I'm going to have to swap out the card in that camera shortly. But I will grab, so these longer bolts go through the board into these corner braces. So you've got to make sure that gets seated correctly as well. And that's going to be harder to do without things, yeah, that's going to be nearly impossible to do unless you have things actually sitting up straight the way they're supposed to. Whoop. Means, yeah, any deviation in the angle is just going to become a problem. So, to start, and then I'll get the one down at the bottom here. And then for the next wall, we just have to actually slide it into this little gap that we've now created for it. And these I'm not going to over tighten until we have both of the walls up, or well, yeah, we'll just do a little bit. And then we can sort of ratchet things in. That's starting to, oh, shit. Ah, there we go. Okay. Okay, so this next panel is the one with the window frame. And it is unfortunately a little heavier. I'm going to grab, I'll grab 2 of these longer bolts. Yeah, I don't know what's in focus. I don't know what's visible. I'll grab 2 of the longer bolts and just try and get this attached to the back corner, which will give me some spare time to then worry about the hinge. All right, so pick this up. Also can't go too high because there's really not a ton of extra height space. We are sitting on there. Cool. Now I just need to, I don't want to knock this thing over too much either. All right. Yeah, this is one case where the mallet may indeed come in handy just to nudge this way. But we'll go ahead and hop in and just try and manually. Yeah, okay, so definitely need to kick this in. There we go, it's closer. I'll get this top corner, which unfortunately I know you can't see, but. And incidentally, I did go back and look at the instructions again. You're dealing with, so they want you to install the corner bolts loosely, but do install the hinges firmly. So you can go ahead and do a snug installation on the hinges. And I think, I'm probably gonna have to tap this over a little bit because it's just a little bit, we're going, well, we'll see. Actually, no, it may be, in fact, a little too far over. I'm gonna have to pull it back out this way. But we'll get the 4 pieces don't lie, right? And now at least this isn't really in danger going back that way. But yeah, I'm gonna have to nudge these things around a little bit. Okay, next step is nice and easy-ish. It's just installing the corner pieces for both of these ends. And the corner pieces I actually have over here. They're a little bit heavier than the 90-degree angle one. Here you go. You can see this. Similar, you've got walls coming in here, wall coming in here, and then just this to seal everything up, make it look, make it work. All right, and so this just sits inside here and doesn't adhere to the floor at all. I guess you probably can't see the caster plate at this point, but while the wall is about 1/2 inch inset, these sit pretty much flush with the edge of the caster plate. So that's perfect. So all that we need to do here, and these I can just finger tighten. Should just be able to do this, man. Yep, there we go. Haha. Put one of these on both sides. Then we have some short panels that have spaces for the ventilation. I believe you can buy these also with no ventilation. The ventilation is, if you have fans blowing stuff, you're gonna be making noise. So you can't really use it actively while you're recording. I'm sure there's gotta be something you can do to kind of mask the noise, but for me, I don't know, if I'm just doing a live stream or something like that and I'm not particularly nitpicky about audio quality, then sure, that's fine. But certainly to record high quality stuff, you're gonna wanna keep that thing turned off. It is nice though if you end up spending time in there where you don't need, or you're using it for the sound isolation and not necessarily for something other than that. All right, this bottom one is just a little tricky because it wants to push away. I think I got it threaded weird. Another one of these, identical. Back here. Now you can already start to see, depending on how I angled the camera, maybe you can't see, but we're already pretty darn close to where the top of the drop ceiling is. We are going to have pretty much no extra room left. And in fact, I think I'm gonna have to move this, because if I try and put this up, there is a light fixture right up here that's dangles down. Well, no, I should be able to get this on over here. Yeah, we're behind the light fixture. I am gonna have to move this whole thing back though, before we do more stuff, because otherwise, yeah, there's something right up there. We'll end up in trouble. All right. There we go. All right, yeah, and it's fair enough. This is why they want you to wait. It's because as I over tighten that one, it started to peel back. That's all right. As soon as we get the other smaller panels in place, that'll be fixed. And yeah, you can see there is that light fixture that we're about to run into, and there is, I don't know, I'm bad at estimating things. Who knows? Yeah, I got about 5 inches above the top of these walls. Now, that's gonna be just fine. The only pain point is gonna be where we install the ceiling panel. Of course, I have this angled up, so you're not gonna be able to see that. Well, come on, unlock, and bring this down. Yeah, so this ceiling panel goes on there. You can see there's some padding in here, and so we attach via hinges this way as well. And then so we're gonna add, what is that, 3/4 of an inch, I don't know, some amount to the top of that. But definitely gonna have to push the whole thing back while we construct it, because we're gonna need to maneuver around that light fixture. Next two pieces are just shorter walls. They have, yeah, these holes for ventilation. I have the ducts elsewhere. They also, when you come, they have this little plastic cap goes around here as well when they arrive. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, okay, again, so you want the air duct holes toward the top, and you want to make sure that your bolt holes are on the inside. That's also going to be important. And here again, we're just affixing it to this corner brace. It's a nice thing here about this whole system is you never have any point where there's an actual corner that you have to worry about trying to seal. So we'll just do a loose attachment to this piece and get this in here. There we go. Lovely. And yeah, we'll just get all 4 of these, and then there is one hinge at the very bottom of this we can use as well. Okay, so let me just show you. I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see here, but from the inside here, I apologize, there's some dust there, but we're gonna need to hook this, flip out this hinge, screw that in, but obviously this board is pulled way too much that way right now for that. And the reason for that is that this corner piece is sitting back further than it needs to be. So you can see there's a little gap there in the floor. What I'm gonna need to do is to kind of hammer that back in, but also that's part of the problem of keeping this loose. Is that you're gonna need the flexibility to make this stuff all fit. So I'll hammer that in from the outside and get the hinge up and get these nice, because it's important that the hinges line up. If one of these is out of alignment, it's not the end of the world. And that all gets tightened down at the very end anyway. So. And this does get easier the more pieces you already have up. By a lot. Once you get one of the bolts aligned, it's pretty easy to figure out what sort of adjustments you need to make to get everything else aligned as well. One other thing that I should have mentioned before I put this up, but you'll see there are these little kind of mouse-sized holes in the bottom of all of these walls. Some of them at the bottom, some of them I think there's one up toward the top there as well, because this wall panel is vertically reversible. This is so you can get all your cabling needs and stuff tucked away. If you pop this out, there are two little holes here. And basically you can remove these little screw caps, run the cables through those little holes, and then the rubber compresses against itself so that you're not leaking out air and by extension sound. So I just happen to not have this one in because I think, I don't know, last time I was using it I had it taken out for whatever reason. But this is how you manage the cabling inside and outside of the WhisperRoom. Okay, well, I have a bit of a problem. So the next step is to put the ceiling on here before we put the door plate over there. But there's an issue, and that is that I seem to be missing some hinges. I have 4. I am missing 4. Now I tried to pair up the screws. I have kind of 3 unaccounted for, it's not screws, but bolts. I have 3 bolts that aren't accounted for, but probably this means that at some point I took down some hinges and managed to get them stored somewhere without the rest of the stuff. I have gone ahead and looked around for them for a while, but I can't seem to find them. So plan is, I wanted to get all the hinges back on here before putting this thing back up there. I'm probably going to run to big box store, see if I can find something that will tie this over. If not, to be honest, if it's not sealed everywhere, that's not ideal, but it's also not gonna be the worst thing in the world either. So if we can't find something in the big box store, we'll probably put it on and just to fix it in a couple of locations in 4 spots instead of the 8 that you're supposed to. And then from there we can I'm trying to think. There's no, I don't know what I would have done with this. And I can contact WhisperRoom and say, hey, I need help getting some replacement parts. So I will be back after a quick trip to the big box store. And a tantalizing update to that story. I did go to a big box store and come back empty-handed, but I then realized, looking at stuff, is that these hinges along the very front don't get used. Those don't belong there because the door panel does not use those hinges for staying up. Now, the reason that they are here is because these are, I believe, you can put a wall here and put a door panel there if you so chose. I'm choosing to keep the door panel in the same spot, but that means, hey, these ones aren't supposed to be here. They can go here, and this edge, which will also be along the door, does not need hinges. So we actually do have enough hinges after all. I wasn't missing anything. I just, I initially kind of put everything on here without thinking. So that's resolved now. Let me get this prepped up and then we'll jump to putting the ceiling on. This is probably the place where, putting up the first wall is another example where having a helper would be a good idea. If you're doing this on your own, don't sue me. Let me just make sure, everything's pretty snug up here. And basically I'm just gonna get this up over my head and then slide it back and try and let it settle down on there. So this is a pretty heavy piece. So I apologize in advance for any profanity. I'm just kidding. There we go. Okay, so we need this to go up like that. So I'll go like this, and I will, let me see here. And I need to not hit that light also. Probably could have done with slightly better placement. Let's see, there we go. right. All right. Good. We are up enough. And perfect. Oh man. That is wonderful. Whew. All right, and yeah, it's just got this lip there that sits along these walls. Now these, of course, because not everything is completely tightened down, that's not a perfect way to keep adhered, but next I'm gonna take all the little screws and get all those hinges in, and then we'll be attached to all of those walls, and everything should be pretty darn stable. So yeah, well, you don't want to tighten things to the corner pieces too much. You also don't want to leave it too loose, because it is going to end up, if you leave a little bit of a gap, then that's going to kind of force the walls and the corners to kind of push away from each other, which means that then when you try and get other things to line up, it's not going to be the best. So you don't need to do a final tighten, but don't leave things crazy loose either. All right, and there we go. We now have a ceiling on this thing. Whew. Okay, oops. Huh. So, as you can see, it's not the most luxurious. There's not a huge amount of space, but you know what? It is enough. And you know, I've worked in the thing for about a year before we moved, and it's great. So I'm excited about this. Next thing we need to do is install these adapter panels, which is the reason why we didn't need all those hinges. These adapter panels go from up here, they just screw in like this, and then they have 3 holes that then get attached to the door panel. So I need to make sure there's a sticker on here that says this side faces the exterior. Okay, fair enough. So one of these goes up here. Well, we'll put it down here, I guess, so that the sticker seems right side up. Well, we gotta do this either way. One of these up here, one of these down there. Same screws. Oh no, actually these are the chrome. Yeah, these are the chrome screws. Okay, with those pieces on, it's time to tackle the door. And actually, I lied, because I took the handle off of this door when we moved it. And if we put on the door now, we're gonna get stuck inside. Now, when they send you this, the door actually is separate from the frame. And so you can install the door panel without the door, and then you don't have any problem. But for me, I didn't want to take the door off of the hinges, because that would be a pain. So we're gonna it's just like a standard, door panel thing. So just the 2 bolts, and then we'll have this back on here. The only interesting part is making sure this is the right way around, so that we're able to do stuff. Come on, there you go. And perfect. That works. And I just got to install on the back. And of course I got to screw it in from the back. That's fine. Actually, I can just go ahead and open this up, can't I? Yeah, I'm just careful with the... Nope. That was dumb. All right, this is fine. Making sure, and actually I think, because I'm an idiot, the first time I installed this, I actually did put the handles on facing the wrong direction. So don't be like me. Okay. Boom. There we go. It is installed. We can lock it. and now it is locked. There is a key that ships with this as well. Okay, but now what I gotta do, that's fine. I'm gonna use some more of those chrome bolts and bolt this door panel in, and I gotta get at it from the inside, so I actually do need to unlock this. I'm gonna set this up on there, and I suppose this is another tricky bit. Let's see here. Of course, is it going to be centered? Who knows? Oh yeah, I remember this being difficult to take down for exactly this reason. Because yeah, you need to be sort of inside of it and outside of it at the same time. I need to figure out where exactly. Okay, so I'm way over from center. That's okay. I'm going to close this up for a moment and shift this panel this direction. A little too much. Close. We are close. All right, I think I may be able to get one in, and I'm holding onto, you can already hear the reverberance that is the WhisperRoom. All right, let me see here. Can I get this one threaded? If I can get one threaded, well, you know the theme by now. You got one, you got it made, right? Because the problem is that with all of these, you're not just installing stuff, you're also tightening down the other stuff that you've previously installed. In this example, the ceiling is actually not quite as far down as it should be. And so everything here has to come in at a bit of an angle. Yeah, we've probably got a good that much that we were out of alignment. No wonder I was having issues up there. Now, of course, there is an issue of just the ceiling not being near enough, and that's something that we'll get to. But if I can get these, oh yeah, look at that, beautiful. That, I mean, not perfect, but it's close. Yeah, okay, so actually I'm gonna close the door because I believe it's at least helping to warp this a little bit, which is not what we want. Now I seem to have misplaced one of the screws. I'm sure I'm gonna find it, but one of the metal screws, well, I mean, they're all metal. One of the silver screws. Thankfully, they do send you with a helpful little bag of all of the stuff you may have misplaced. So, you know, if something's lost in shipping or whatever. All right. And, oh, come on. There we go. Okay. Okay, last item to go through is to put on 2 more corner pieces, this time in that remaining seam that we got on both of these corners. So this one's not too bad. A little bit of a pain in the backside because you're dealing with the wall in the way now in terms of getting things seated. In fact, this one is the more difficult of the two, because unless these happen to line up perfectly, which honestly they almost do, I'm risking kind of pushing this thing away. Unless I can get, oh, did I just get it to bite? I think I did. Yes! That's fantastic. Okay, cool. So that one now shouldn't fall away, and I shouldn't be able to pull away. Perfect. All right, so to be honest, I think putting these up, I'm just gonna do off camera because it's nothing we haven't done before ad nauseum. Just, yeah, getting them onto both sides of the panels. The only other thing that we have to do for the WhisperRoom to be done is to install these. So these, there we go. These go on these short walls, and the way that they work I mean, they're for the air movement. I'm trying to remember exactly how these were. So no, these go on the inside. Yeah. I have a duct where. Yeah, okay. The idea is that there's the side hole, and that goes right flush up against here. And then out at the bottom, there's a hole as well. And between those, there are these wedges of acoustic treatment so that when you're using it for ventilation, the air can get through, but it has to bounce back and forth quite a lot. So there's very little sound leakage that's going to get through. And all that we need to install these is to hold them up against here. And actually, I have, let's see, these are going to be, yeah, these are all the same. Yeah, we'll worry about this corner piece in a minute. But there's this little cap that is, I think, wider than, yeah, it's wider than this panel. Goes in from this side. There we go. And then, see that sticks out here? And then this just sort of sits on there. And then we throw in some bolts also from the inside to attach the thing fully. So if I just hold this up here and try and line this up nicely. There we go. Now it's hanging by the little plastic, which is not, not rated for the weight, but then I can go ahead and screw this thing in, and then that is fully attached. Now for one of these, you just throw a cap on the bottom of it because it'll be output. Whoops. For the other one, you get this duct, and you'll basically shove the duct into the bottom of it, and then you can plug it in, and it's got sort of a big, sort of a PC style fan. So I could use this as my outtake. So depending on which way you want it to vent. And then there are those two holes, and everything is hunky-dory. So I'm gonna get this all wrapped up. Trying to speed through what's left of this because someone's going to sleep, so we gotta be quiet so we don't make noise for the family. But yeah, get that on, and that's pretty much all there is. I mean, I guess the only other item is to see, hey, does this step happen to work? No assembly required. This just has Velcro. Toss it down here. And there we go. Perfect. So now this door opens and closes. We'll have the additional corner piece on there. We'll have that other piece on there. And there we go. And actually, a little bit of advice, you might want to follow my lead and install, if you're working with this sort of thing, you might want to install your vent panels before putting these corner pieces on, because it allows you to reach around and position this exactly right, because otherwise you're dealing with the same issue of trying to really hope that things line up perfectly, where it's a lot easier if you can reach out there and kind of hold things firmly against, because with this example, you're going in from the outside, screwing the bolt in toward the out, and this really is just hanging out there, not otherwise affixed. So you're liable to push the thing off if you're not careful. So for my money, I would advise to install the ventilation unit side pieces before putting on these corners. And then, unless I get really lucky, I may just take the corner off here so that I can easily line this one up, because there's a bolt at the top and a bolt at the bottom, and you got to make sure they're both just right. So maybe I'll get very lucky, but we will see.
All right, so we are in the Whisper Room. It is shut and sealed, and I've got things pretty tightened up. There are a couple of bolts that I could do a bit of a better job on. There are a couple that I managed to kind of strip on. Want to pull them out and try and seat them a little bit better. But yeah, this is back together, and I'm very excited. Now I'm recording on this, the E100S CAD microphone, and because I wanted to give you a sense of, hey, it doesn't sound great in here. There are a lot of reflections off of this table for one, but even if the table weren't in here, you're gonna get reflections off of the inside of this MDF. There's a thin layer of fabric on top of the MDF, but then otherwise the sound is bouncing around off of the ceiling, off of the safety glass in the door. It's very boomy in here. Sounds like you're recording in a bathroom. That's because we haven't done any acoustic treatment to the inside of the booth, and that's another thing. So it seems fairly, I mean, it's fairly spacious in here right now. We're still going to have to cut a little bit off because we're putting treatment on the inside. Now, by default, WhisperRoom does ship with, I hauled this in here, this egg crate material. Here we go. It's fairly thin. It doesn't do a huge amount. I suppose I can just Velcro it. There are Velcro pads on the back of it. There we go. Lovely. And if I talk this way, it sounds I mean, you're getting slightly fewer reflections, but not by a ton. There are a couple more of these as well that I can go ahead and put up. This helps a little bit with high-end reflections. Obviously, it's going to depend on your voice and what you're trying to cut out. For me, I find that it's not quite enough. I know they do sell enhanced stuff. I think they're shipping out some Oralex products and stuff, which is great. But you can also do it yourself. And I think we'll have another video where we actually treat the WhisperRoom, because I'm going to need to. I do have stuff that I've planned to throw in here, but we're going to need to make some modifications to accommodate this new window over here. So I'm going to need to cut my sound deadening stuff to accommodate that new space. But yeah, this took me, I don't know, maybe 2 hours to put together, and that was me being slow and lazy and not having things set up and not having everything screwed in that should be screwed in initially. Honestly, you could easily get this done in an hour on your own and bring it down from that if you've got people helping you out. At least for the corner unit. It is fairly heavy. The whole thing is somewhere around 800 pounds for this side. Well, plus the caster plate and stuff now, it's heavier than that. Plus me inside here. It's a lot of weight. We're on a concrete floor on the in the basement, which means we're not going to be falling through to tenants below or anything like that. But it is something you want to be aware of if you do decide to go down this route. Make sure that the floor underneath can support a significant amount of kind of resting weight, because your floor might not be rated for that. I don't know. I'm trying to think of anything else that we didn't really cover. We'll definitely go over, treating this space in a future video, but the corner unit itself, now obviously it's designed to go back in a corner, and it does kind of maximize the space. It is cheaper than a lot of the other WhisperRooms because it's because it's a little bit smaller, but the way that it's laid out makes it enough room for me. And of course you can, I guess if you did want to expand, I could probably reuse these two back panels and the door, which means if I wanted to upgrade to a square box, I just have to buy one. Well, actually, I even have an extra panel now that I've replaced this one, so I could upgrade to a square box. WhisperRooms are great. We're getting fairly good sound isolation. There's not a huge amount of noise outside, so there's not something I can really show off here. But the huge benefit is that now I can talk out loud at whatever hour of the night without risk of waking other people up, which is incredibly beneficial. So as I said, we'll in a future video we'll talk about doing actual acoustic treatment inside here so that we get a better sound, because this is not great, and it's hard to listen. It's very boomy. And if you found this one helpful, go ahead and click the like button and subscribe and all of that self-promotion-y stuff. I really appreciate it. It does help me quite a lot. And then if you have any questions about the WhisperRoom or my experience setting it up or using it or things like that, happy to talk about all of those down in the comments. I hope that this video was helpful. And let me know what your own experience has been with WhisperRooms or setting up your own kind of independent sound isolated-y type of space. Or, if you use something else, let me know. Eager to hear from other people as to their experiences. But that's going to do it for me, and I will see you next time. Cheers.